I'm so excited to be here with you to talk about your role that it is that you landed and pursued. I mean, I feel like it all at once kind of happened. So thank you for being able to like share your experience within the program and just share your own personal experience of the things that are going on, because I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people, especially of like your why, what you're doing, how you want to do it, the thoughts that came up. And so I'm going to dive right in. And one of the first questions I have for you is like, what was your motivator for joining the program in general?
Oh my gosh, I have so many. So basically, the biggest one was really, working in corporate America. There's a very traditional kind of timestamp that you have to abide by, which is, your 9 to 5, 8 to 6, whatever you want to call it. And there's less and less wiggle room around the traditional corporate job where like as during COVID, it was easy to work from home, but now with all of like return to work mandates, it becomes really hard. It becomes really hard to juggle like a family, which I have 2 small children, and like all of the to-dos with the house, as well as juggle like a corporate, like going into the office. So I started kind of teetering around and I found this group just based off of a podcast, really. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome because it really helped me not feel alone. I was kind of thinking that this was just a daydream where I like, wouldn't it be nice to have a job that let me manage the other part of my life more easily and like in a better way? So ultimately, when Remote Job Fast Track like appeared, I was just blown away by the fact that like this could even be a possibility. And I had never really worked remote. I had never really thought about finding a job. I was really overwhelmed when I saw the job like on LinkedIn, and then you see like 5,000 people have applied to this job. And you're like, okay, I'm just going to skip. And so being able to go through this program and be with the community really like empowered me to look for what I wanted and advocate for what I wanted and even figure out what I really wanted, because it's easy to daydream, but when it's time to action on that dream, it can sometimes be overwhelming. It was definitely kind of all over the place for me. And so even talking to you, Danny, and like going through the course really helped me like figure out the why exactly, which was I want to spend more time with my family. I want to have more flexibility around where I am and what I'm doing. And it also really put me on a path like, okay, well, then I need to look for jobs specifically like that. Not only, oh, I can do this job, but oh, I can do this job and this company is like aligns with my values, which is really, really good.
Yeah, I think the aligning with your values was super important. So in the for clarity form, we have like the priority checklist because it's always like it's not just like if it's a shiny cool job, but also does it
Yeah.
fit with the lifestyle that you want, right? And
Yeah.
you had a whole corporate career, like you don't
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
seat scares. I like you were
Yeah.
just like, let me try something. You have a whole bunch of experience, and so
Yeah.
I'm curious for you, the program I heard you say of like not feeling alone. Was there anything else that you feel like you were kind of like, this is a little bit maybe challenging for me to do on my own? So I want to be in a program that's supportive, or anything that kind of stuck out?
Yeah. I mean, I think before I had joined like this program, I had already like made up my mind that something was going to change. I was just kind of in turmoil in terms of what it was.
Mhm.
So being able to be a part of like a community not only gave me like the support of like not feeling alone and being like, okay, other people are doing this and either they're all crazy just like me, or like this actually is a solution to life and like to like the lifestyle that most people actually like dream about and they just don't know how to get. And so, yeah, the community was honestly like very helpful where it was supportive and would give you like leads on different things that you could look into, but also keep you really accountable. I'm pretty motivated and I'm a pretty competitive person. So like when I would see the wins, I would really feel happy for everybody else. But I'm like, man, let's go. Let's get after it. Like I could do this too. Or, oh, that's a great approach. Like, let me try it out and see if I win as well. And that kind of stuff really helped me, as well as like the coaching calls, right? Like the group calls and hearing everybody talk and hearing what everybody was. The sticking points, the parts where like we were all like trying to hurdle over. I think we all feel really uncomfortable networking and putting ourselves out there. So it was really refreshing to be like, okay, this is hard. This is probably the hardest part. So like, let's just try to like reach out. Because even with like my connections, like immediate connections, I was always like, oh no, I can't talk to them. I can't do it. And so just like putting on the big girl pants and saying, hey, how are you? It's been a long time. Like, what are you up to? But knowing that you have a group of people that are doing the same thing and knowing that just being able to compare notes and approaches and all of that, amazing.
Awesome. And then is there anything that was like the biggest shift or one of the biggest shifts for you or like the biggest one for you, like in the program since you started to now?
I'm not sure. I think that in terms of like the biggest win, it was really mostly about clarity. Once I
Mhm.
had that clarity, once I knew what to go after, it became a lot more like doable, manageable. It wasn't so overwhelming in terms of like me spending days and days thinking about it. Because a lot of times you just get stuck in like an analysis paralysis vibe, and that just made the biggest difference. So having access to like coaches, having access to the videos and like the actual program and watching through those, even that, like, it just allows for self-reflection, it allows for, like, self-accountability, and just that alone was something that I didn't have access to without the program. So and it's easy to get lost, it's easy to feel unmotivated and just, like, beat down once, like, someone says no or, like, you see the 5,000 applicants marker. So that's probably the biggest win, being able to have access to someone and, like, videos that really provide the clarity.
Yeah, the clarity piece. That's a big piece. So you joined, like officially enrolled on May 31st.
Oh
So
my
like,
gosh, that's crazy.
uh-huh. Today is September the 5th. And so I'm curious if you can just like share a little background of when you landed the role that you have now.
Yeah, so I landed the role, I think it was probably like August 1st, and we basically started like
So 2
August
months.
3rd. Yeah,
June,
yeah,
July. So in 2 months you
yeah,
landed the job. Okay, go
yeah,
ahead. Sorry.
yeah. It was, and I remember so much, like, it was like you and I were talking, and you were like, "You are going to hustle if you need to hustle if you think that you're going to get this job really fast." Because just given the values that I was looking for and giving, like, the very specific needs that I had, it's a diamond in the rough. Like, it's really, really, really hard to either, get if A works out, then great, but then if not A, then it has to be B, and this is why. And so I felt very, like, confined, but in a good way, right? Like, I knew where I needed to go. And so that's where I just, like, dove into the connections. I had previously, like, worked with a few other people in, within the industry and kind of, like, where I wanted to be. And so I just started with those, just kind of like tapping my toe into the water and be like, "Hey, how are you?" Looking for advice, looking for like not coaching, but just like any words of wisdom.
Mhm.
And with those calls, like they were like, I know so and so might be interested or is looking for some help. Maybe you could help them. And just going that route really, really helped me. So the networking piece was big and just kind of like pushing myself off the ledge or getting pushed off the ledge, whatever you want to say.
A light
But
tap. I like to say it was a light tap.
nudge. It was just like a wind that just carried you off the ledge. Yeah, that process was really fast. I remember like I was like, okay, well, I can either like keep exploring these connections that I have made like on a personal level in the past, or I can go into Dripify. And it was kind of I went through this like phase where like I hopped onto the Dripify calls and I was like, oh man, this is great. I was like, but I feel like I could really just like nurture these leads and it could probably turn into something. And so that was a big kind of like crossroads for me because I like Dripify is like the shiny new toy, right? The tool that looks so
Mhm.
cool and so fun, which I think I'm still going to use and just have that on the back burner for now.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just like nurtured that. And I was either whether it was just like doing a little project here and there or like showing the colleague that I was talking to at the time, like, "Hey, like, let me help you with this," or "I noticed that this, like, I recommend this." And so kind of warm them up a little bit. And like one thing turned into the next. And my hunch was right, luckily. But yeah, I mean, I was 3 weeks maybe of just like nurturing that lead, which I feel like was very short. And I was able to make it kind of like fast engagement just because of their responses, right? So like, obviously I'm not going to spam them and say like, keep on emailing them. Like I wouldn't spam them or like keep following up if there was no response. But because they were engaged and they were interested, it just made it very natural, very like easy to flow with. And when like my current boss, I guess, finally like reached out, it wasn't surprising. It was like more so just like really exciting that, that effort that I had put in worked and like that my work and my experience and just like the way that I spoke about like our industry really just helped me land the opportunity whenever he was ready. Because as a small business owner, sometimes it's like hard to, figure out, oh, do I really want the overhead cost and whatnot? So I think for him, he was juggling between I could hire like an intern or I could hire someone that's more experienced and I can just let them run with like the projects. And ultimately, like he was like, I see that it's worth it. So definitely like talking honestly and straightforward about like the experience that like you have or I had in that moment was a huge like plus.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I remembered as like standing out was the light push or the win, let's say, was that you had career clarity. You felt really good about after career clarity, like, okay, I feel really good that I know what I need to do. I remember that. And then it was moving into like doing the backdoor method and doing outreach. And so like in module 3, the backdoor method, there is like looking at your warm leads versus cold leads, using versus Dripify. And you were like, yeah, I have some warm leads, but like I don't really want to bother them. And I'm not like sure if I should use them now versus later. And I was like, excuse me, what'd you say? And I was like, come back here. So I remember that was a big thing. And you're like, oh, I'm talking to people, but I don't know if things are going to come from it. And I'm not sure like how I should, how do I organize my services or how do they get priced or what do I offer? And, I've done things in a certain capacity, but not in this capacity. And so these thoughts are coming up of like, okay, well, what do I price myself at? Or like what skill sets, a level of experience I'm at? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? You had a whole entire career and you still do. And so let's not. And also like, hi, I'm here because outside of being working in corporate, I also understand what it is to build a business. So I was like, we can do both. So I think that was the part that was really, really fun was to hear you kind of be like from the part of believing in your skill set and your expertise to showcasing it so well that like, here you are, but then also wanting to shape a job that you want. Cause I know there was thoughts of like, well, what if I'm working too many hours and I dive in and I was like, no, like let's create a wish list of what you would want for this for any role. Like, what is the number of hours? What days do you want to work versus not work? What hours do you want to be with the kids versus not? Like that you're working, and what do you feel like is, and I said, what's going to be worthwhile for you to have an hour away from your kids to work on something? Like, you're like, okay, I can do this. And then we're a lot of questions that we were having. And it's just so crazy because now you outlined what you wanted and you're living in it, which is so awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's easy to get distracted by like, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. And so I can't tell you, I mean, I did tell you, I think, and that was a big mistake, but it was also really good because I was like, I'm thinking that maybe I could just do like another 9 to 5 and just like with a better values and better, like more aligned with what I want. And you were like, yeah, but is that really going to get you, like, are you really going to be happy? And that was a big, like, eye-opening experience because the answer was no. It would just be like an in the meantime job. And so, yeah, the money might, like, financially, it might make tons of sense. But I realized that, like, time with my kids and times with my family is, more important to me right now. Not saying that I can go without a job for too long, but I was definitely able to prioritize that. And so just being patient and trusting the process is really, really big because, yeah, it's easy to just keep on finding something that you are already comfortable with and you can execute well. But is that really going to fix like your why? Is it really going to get you closer to that why? And for me, it was no. And so I needed it to be just like really level headed, which is really hard sometimes, but just like stick to the process and stick to the clarity form. And I had like post-it notes in multiple different places, just like trust the process because it's just, you just need to put in the work and just like wait for it, eventually it'll come.
Love it. Yes, trusting the process. I mean, sometimes we have to say no to something that feels like really safe and comfortable and familiar, and just say no. It's that way something new can come up that's action aligned with what we want. And that feels super scary to do, but to be bold enough to do that makes such a difference for you to find something that's in alignment with what you want for the hours that you wanted, for the time and the flexibility that you wanted, which was higher on your priority list. So I'm super happy for you. And I'm curious. So, like, if somebody is kind of like thinking about joining the program, but they're not 100% sure yet, like, what would you say to them?
I would say that you might think that it's easier to just like do it on your own and like your own time and whatnot, but really having that support system and knowing that you have someone and multiple people really that have already gone through the process that are willing to share their experiences, and like we all are kind of vulnerable together, and just there's something so empowering about that lets you connect, lets you just have that safe space to find that best fit and be picky and in the best and most efficient way, because it's not like you're just like talking about, oh, I want a new job. You're actually taking like very concrete steps to get there. It's not just like listening and thinking. It's more like, okay, this is how you do it. And that is something that I would have never been able to do by myself. I probably would have just found something that was very comfortable and used like what I'm used to. And then I would have been like, oh, this isn't it. This is not it. I wonder why. So this community and this program are definitely there if you like for you, and it would be the best fit if you're really looking for a change and you're ready to make that change.
Yeah, I love it. And I would say that, for you, breaking into what it is that you want to break into, having this flexibility and freedom, what will you do now with your flexibility and freedom that you have?
Ooh, so I've spent more time with my kids, that's for sure. And I'm also just exploring other like what's next, right? So I mean, I just started this role, so I'm just kind of easing into it and kind of like understanding and trying to hone in on like the skills that I need to hone in on to be as successful as I can. But it's also giving me the time and flexibility to think about like what I want to do. I feel like long term, like big picture. So whether it's, starting my own business to some capacity, whether it's, you know, continuing to find like just wait or look for a role that is even better than the one that I have, and, with a higher salary, with even more flexibility, all of that stuff, like that would be fantastic. But just kind of like being present in the moment has something special about it too, right? Like we've worked everybody that's like come out of the program, and even the people that have not yet found that like perfect fit for them, we're all just trying to get there. And so to be present and to just like know that like we're putting in work and like just enjoy it, right? Like take a moment and like accept it for what it is really has been really good for me, at least, because the Andrea that I know now and that I am right now was not the same person that I was in May. I was very stressed out. I was just not happy, not doing good. And that to me was just not what I wanted to be for the rest of my life. And being able to know that I could take control, like that's the empowerment that you feel. Like once you join the program, you're like, okay, I've got this. Like I can take control of what I want. It doesn't have to be like what society says or like all of the articles that say like remote jobs are dying and all of that. Like that's not always the case. You can create your future for however you want it to be. And you guys really help us figure that out.
Yay. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited for you. And you said the two things you were looking for was, are you the only one out there that's this crazy, or are there other people out there that are this crazy? And you said freedom and flexibility. And I was going to tell you we're both. Everybody in
Yeah.
this program is a little bit crazy in order to go after this lifestyle, and we all want flexibility and freedom. So you're
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, like, and it's scary. So, like, there's a certain kind of like boldness that you have to be able to be like, yeah, I'm going to commit financially and in time as well. And, it is a leap of faith. You don't know what you're really getting into. And like, you're like, oh, like, could I do this? And the answer is like, maybe, but you're not going to know if you don't try. And I mean, yeah, to me, like what really stood out was just knowing that I'm not the only one that's going to give it a try. So that was really helpful.
Well, thank you so much. And I appreciate you so, so much.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you.